We're live on the one thing. Now over to the other thing.
I guess I should get this ready.
Maybe. You probably don't need the headphones today.
Oh.
Just we're in the same place.
What's different?
What do you mean, what's different? Different. It looks like you're about to commit a bank heist.
I know, and I'm dark. I forgot my light. It's in the suitcase at home.
Oh, okay. Well,
but you got to change the light. You're down there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I moved some stuff around.
This looks like a plain black cat, but can you read what it says?
It says, Joe Biden is my favorite.
It definitely does not say that.
It's a Make America Great Again bank robbery hat.
Yeah, black on black. I got this for the husband last go round, and I haven't been able to find another one. And then I had to just take it because, he wasn't wearing it. And you can wear this hat in Texas, and nobody gives you any crap. So for people saying that Texas is turning blue, I know there's some tight races down there, but there's also a lot of Trump supporters. And the diversity in Texas is really big. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of diversity down there. And I think that there's a commonality there where people are all hurting. Like we've discussed here so many times, it doesn't matter black, white, brown, these folks, they're all suffering. And so I think we're seeing a common ground they're finding with each other. Like we can't go on the way it's going and we need a change. So fingers crossed that we get that change in November. I hope everybody's registered to vote wherever you are watching us from. If you're in Texas, don't assume you've got, everything in the bag with your vote. You've got to register, make sure you're registered and get prepared because early voting is starting in a lot of states. Utah ballots go out October 15th. I'm not sure when Texas's does, but everybody has to vote in this election. I mean, vote like the republic depends on it. And I'm not sure, but, I told you that it could be on the ballot in Texas this year, secession. And sometimes it is. I mean, I guess sometimes it gets there to secede, but I hope not. I hope that Texas, they are the Republic of Texas, the only state in the union that has it in their constitution. They can leave the union at any time.
Well, there has been a Texas secessionist party for years and years, like decades. And I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't know. I don't want to go all nihilist today.
Hi, Chad. Thanks for tuning in.
I don't know how we don't go nihilist, but I don't want to.
Well, I can appreciate that. I'm with you. I'm trying to be hopeful, and I'm trying to talk to people who disagree with me and show some grace and listen. That's what I'm trying to do, because you're not going to get people to feel empowered or inspired by making fun or not listening to the issues that are affecting them. And some of them are one issue voters. So listen to their issue and see if there's a way you can appeal to them. I think that's something that is missing in politics and has been for a long time, that it's not us. The more we fight each other, the bigger the government gets and the more they get away with in the dark of night, because we're too busy at each other's throats, that it's not us against each other. It should be us standing up for our government. I mean, they've, stronger men than us fought a revolution over far less than what's happening now. Far less. Think about all the ways we're being taxed from cradle to grave Property tax is theft, in my opinion. What is the taxes on your investments, your 401k? Unrecognized gains. What?
Unrealized
gains. Those are your 401ks, folks. Those are your IRAs. That is theft. That's money you have already paid taxes on if it's in an investment portfolio, for example. That's double. They're double dipping there. How about all of you getting Social Security? You're getting taxed on Social Security. You're getting taxed on homes you've already paid off. You're getting taxed in inheritance tax. What is that? It's theft. I could go on and on.
I don't know.
And you're obviously so tired.
No, it's like this. I see the trillions in debt, and I see them forking money over to foreign countries for them to pursue their martial ambitions. And we go further in debt, where we're dangerously flirting with World War III right now. I mean, I don't know where we go from here. I don't know.
Right. And meanwhile,
I don't get it. I mean, any way you look at it, I don't get it.
American citizens are suffering right now from that horrific storm in the Carolinas and Helene, and FEMA's offering them $750, just like they did in Maui.
And I've heard,
and illegals are getting $9,000.
I've heard they've been maybe more than 9,000.
Yep.
Who knows?
Plus food, plus medical, plus insurance and education. And housing.
I wonder how. It can't be as simple as the Democrats are just looking for voters.
Oh no, I think both parties are at fault here.
Well, there has to be something. They have to be looking. There has to be a goal, and I get it. We're in our demographics aren't sound right now, so maybe they're looking at bringing in a larger population to support it when the baby boomers do finally step off that cliff and go into retirement, so that we don't have a further economic collapse. But there's got to be better ways to do it than you don't want to make a system where all the pressure is on the lowest classes of your community. You want to make a system, let's say, I mean, yes, it sounds unfair, a pay-to-play system, but you want to bring people in that aren't an initial burden on the community, and that also don't just compete for the lowest jobs. So you want to have a system that, one, draws in people who's going to come here and start a business, or jump right into the middle class.
And they'll acclimate to the American dream.
Well, it's not just about that. It's about, you want to make the middle class better. You don't want to put further pressure on the lowest classes.
But if they don't acclimate, you're putting pressure on teachers trying to teach these kids that are taking up a lot of time because they don't speak the language. Just the schools alone are getting burdened with like 30%, I think, are non-speaking students. What that does to a classroom, it brings education to a halt.
Well, let's just look at it a different way. And I don't want to, Russell says, hey, Russ, how you doing? Says they're both inept and malicious. Yes, they are. And they've always been that way. It reminds me of the story of when I believe it was the Visigoths got run out of off the steppe by the Huns. And the Visigoths, they came to Roman territory, and Rome knew who they were, and they were familiar with each other. And so Rome put them by this river and kind of abused them while they were there. They had a general that was in charge, that general governor, and a consul or whatever. He abused them while they were there. And so he put a bad taste in their mouth. But as Rome emasculated itself, which we are currently doing in this country, eventually the only people that would join their military were the barbarians, the Burgundians and Visigoths and Ostrogoths and
I'm falling asleep.
yeah. But anyways, they joined their military, and then these people who joined their military ended up sacking Rome. And the famous pictures you see of Rome on fire was that moment.
Is that kind of like the state that is allowing undocumented
Yes,
Democrats to become police officers and join the military?
Yes, it's the states that are first bringing in foreigners without setting up a system to
Monitor.
bring them into their culture, and then
Without sponsors, without jobs, without somebody accountable for them.
I mean, this is how they're going to read it in the future. And then they've got this emasculated state. And so masculine men are pushed out of the community. I mean, they're failing across every metric. They're failing at school, failing at higher education, failing there. And the conservatives are not going to jump to join the military anytime soon. So you're going to end up that to fill those ranks, to fill those masculine jobs, you're going to have to get foreigners to do it. And
we're toying with World War III. They could very well bring the draft back and not just bring women. That's been discussed. And I'll be damned. I don't want my daughter. I certainly don't want my daughter. I mean, that's generations. You let your women go to war that aren't prepared or aren't interested.
It's not about just being prepared or interested, but any society that forces their women into war is a society that's doomed to have a further demographic collapse. Because let's face it, women are the most important part of demographies.
Yeah, well, they produce those things.
Yeah.
And the sad part is, guys, like, this always comes back, and I think that I've learned a lot from you regarding the fall of Rome, the fall of that empire, and seeing it in real time, how it happens. You wonder, how does an empire that is ruling the world and is so advanced and is so, the pillar of hope and, I don't know, fear, conquering and all of that, how does it fall? It implodes from the inside. And a lot of that happens organically, because when you have a free society or a democracy, people are always going to, when they start voting for themselves, gains for themselves, it will implode, because eventually you run out of people to take money from. And eventually laws don't matter when you have people who have broken them enforcing them. And that's what's happened now. When you have people who have broken laws to come to this country, and this is no slight against any nationality. If you have come to this country, no matter where you've come from, and you've snuck through the border illegally, you should not be able to serve as a police officer, because that's that's like letting a domestic abuser, a rapist, even a tax evader enforce laws against a citizen. That's insane. You don't. And I'm not calling everyone that jumps the border any of those things. I'm just saying that if we have laws, we're not sovereign without them. We're not a sovereign country without borders, without laws, in my opinion. And it's dangerous. It's a dangerous, slippery slope that they're playing in some of these states. And that's something that I think if citizens of those states tolerate, from a simple thing as letting people vote in local elections that don't belong here in the first place, or letting people who commit crimes stay and they're not even legally able to be here, letting them stay here.
Well, it's a double on our negative pressure. So we need to, first, step one, we need to make this a place where middle class, able people from other countries want to come here. The asylum system draws in the people who will just put pressure on the lower classes, which puts further pressure on the poorest in our country.
Right. And the systems that they depend on.
And also, they are a net negative financially, at least for the first period that they're here, where if we draw in more people, doctors and businessmen and stuff, they come in and they become a net positive.
Right.
Automatically on the community, a net positive. They're not a drain. They're not taking from it. And also, they're coming here of more of their free will. Now, do I believe we still need to have an asylum system set up? Of course, we should have something like that set up.
We should have an absolute revision of our immigration system, period.
Well,
I think there are so many good people I know here that came here on an airplane. They didn't sneak under any fences or anything, but they outstayed their visa, and they're contributing members of society. Some have created businesses. Some have worked in the communities. They're beloved. They should have a pathway, and that pathway should require something. I think there should be levels. I mean, if you've been a contributing member, you speak English, you can take the tests that everybody else has to think or has to take. I mean, if our own citizens can't pass some of these citizenship tests, that's a bad look on the system that we're already under.
What?
And they
school
can't.
System?
A lot of our kids can't even pass the very tests that we're asking citizens to pass. But if those people had a pathway to citizenship, like right out of the gate, and maybe there is an option for those folks who have been here to come out of the shadows, to, report who they are and make sure they've lived a clean life here in the United States. I would be open to a pathway for them that doesn't revolve about them getting deported.
How about just they receive a financial burden for X period of time to make up for it, and then
even then I could see it, especially if they can afford it. I mean, they're financially either running a business or they've been employed for a long time, and a one-time opportunity like what Trump did when he said, hey, I'm going to give you guys that all have your money overseas a one-time opportunity to bring it back to the United States, and you won't be taxed, or whatever he did while he was in office. It brought a lot of money back to the States on that one-time open. And it did take an executive order, because our Republicans and Democrats in DC are too busy fighting each other to actually think of things to fix this, or they would have.
It's not that they're not thinking of things to fix this. And I've said this before. The Republican and Democrat parties don't want to fix anything.
No, it keeps them both in power.
They want the further argument. And unless we break free of the current two-party system, we're doomed to fail.
Now, Carrie Bartholomew writes, rethink multiculturalism, and it must require some level of assimilation. Otherwise, it's e pluribus pluribus. And that's so true. We have to assimilate, right? We have to have everyone assimilate in the way that we can have our systems, that the poorest among us who require that help. The whole reason the systems were invented, per se, not the whole reason, but for those who need it,
the stated
temporary
reason.
Assistance. It's not like they come right over and they're bogging it down. I mean, I think California's got billions of dollars in just healthcare assistance that goes out to people who are undocumented.
Yeah.
And how are these people, these taxpayers in California, supposed to take that burden on themselves when they can barely afford with the inflation and everything else? I am a person, admittedly, that has had to go onto the system at the worst time in our lives. And I was raised by people who saw shame in that. I felt shame doing it, even though I paid into the system. And it took us maybe 18 months to get out from underneath it. And we celebrated like a graduation when we were finally off the system. It absolutely needs to be there. People really struggle, and life is real, and stuff happens, and they lose their business or they lose their health, and they need that. They need it bad. And the system should be structured in such a way that it helps enable them to get out. See, what happened with me was I was able to finally find a job, and we had lost a business. And surprise, you're having a baby. Well, when you sell everything that's not nailed down in your home just to try to keep your home, and you need that assistance, I got a job and I was working very hard, pregnant and everything else. That assistance saved us. We were able to have a healthy baby even through a really tragic, hard time. But the second that job gave me I think it was 75-cent raise, putting me up, I was making $9 an hour plus tips. It immediately, that raise, that $9 immediately made it so we no longer were able to get food stamps.
Yeah, it's a mousetrap.
Humbling, you guys, and it's not something I like to share, and I don't. But the reason I'm sharing it is because all of a sudden my family had to come up with money for food because I'd made $12 more a week than I should have to qualify. And that's when I said, holy crap, why aren't they rewarding people like me by saying, hey, how much money did you make more? Great. Keep going, getting those raises. We're just going to reduce the amount of food stamps, but we're not pulling them all together.
I'm of the opinion that, that'd be great. Progressive food stamp system. But
people feel empowered, I think personally, when they can pay for themselves. Now, all of us know someone who has made this system their life, their career. I don't care who you are. You have everyone that I've talked to or know somebody that has lived off the system in a way that is illegal. They've either lied, or they know they're capable of working and haven't, or, they've milked it for all they can. We know people who've done that. And it's infuriated those of us that have needed it. It's been there. And then we immediately get off of it as soon as we can, because for those of us that see it as, whoa, this is not meant to be a forever. This is meant to be temporary. And then we see other people who have never been in the system, and they're working their tails off day after day, and they're sacrificing to sustain their livelihood. They're sacrificing, giving up all kinds of things, trips, or that new car, or that flat screen TV, or maybe that cell phone, or even Wi-Fi. They're giving up and sacrificing because they don't want to go into the system. Those people are probably just infuriated by what they're seeing now. And the fact that the poorest among us, our poverty class is in far worse shape than they've ever been, I think, in this country. Probably right now.
That's a tough question.
We're seeing more homeless now.
We are.
Than we've ever seen. And it's not by choice homeless people.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I know that the homeless issue is a broad and complex issue, and you can't buttonhole. But here's another thing.
Oh, Carrie makes a great point on that.
I wonder.
Can I just tell her comment?
Sure.
Because it sticks to what I was just saying. Yes, it shouldn't be permanent, but she says, yeah, I've been there just after foster care. I agree. Also, go back to the paper food stamps. I had a huge desire to get off them when it wasn't normalized. Yeah, when they put it on a card, the whole world didn't know you were on food stamps. When you're on WIC, you had to get specific products. It wasn't soda, it wasn't chips, it wasn't lobster tail and steak. You had specific items that you had to get, and you had to fill in a box so perfectly. And if you didn't, it held up the line. And the humiliation factor was enough to make you want to go, nope, I am going to work harder. And my husband, bless him, he was the one that I was so humiliated to go in and get formula for my baby. And he went in there and he learned humility quickly. And my husband is never, I mean, he's the hardest working man I know and the most driven man I know. And having been self-employed for so long, not being able to find a job was horrible because he had no, they're like, well, you're above, this is above your pay grade and we're not going to hire you because you'll leave. And he's like, hire me. I'll be the best employee you've ever had. And yet that was a really hard time in our family, but he did get a job finally. And, humility, we learned something from it. We also learned grace for the people in front of us in a line at a cashier's office in the cashier at the supermarket where my husband has paid for people's groceries before because of what he experienced himself. And it's because I think it's meant for those people in need. And when you see people who they're not loading up their groceries with potato chips and lobster tail and steak. And I mean, we've seen it all, folks. And then you pull out their debit card, which is an EBT. You're watching in real time these people getting extra. And yet food stamps used to be something you had to pay out. And there was some regulation there. And that regulation is gone. And I think there's got to be a happy medium somewhere that says, yeah, this is going to pay for the necessities of your home. Your children are going to, this will pay for fresh produce. It's going to pay for milk and formula for your baby. And it's going to pay for juice. I mean, we've watched people pay with their debit card to buy all this expensive food you and I can't afford. And then with their cash, they buy their cigarettes and they buy their drinks, their alcohol. And you go, what the heck?
Yeah,
there's no regulation.
It's a tough thing. I wonder, I've never met, now maybe I have, and I just don't know, but is it possible for single men to get on that stuff?
I think so.
I've never met
Not
anyone.
WIC. WIC is for women and children.
Yeah.
But for food stamps, I believe so. If men fall on hard times, they can apply. And, if they're disabled, I think veterans that may not find work, but I think it's probably harder, especially if they don't have custody of a child or something.
It's just a query. But anyways, yeah. So our government's failing us. Shocker. I know. What government isn't? I mean, look at how England's treating their citizens right now, arresting them for Facebook posts.
You guys,
that's another thing. I've been inundated this week with videos of was it John Kerry and Hillary Clinton, and John Kerry was at the WEF.
Oh, that's a shocker.
Hillary Clinton was given a talk at somewhere else. And who else was? Oh, and obviously you got Tim Walz at the debate, but they're all talking about how the First Amendment is holding them back from eliminating speech that they find disagreeable in one way or another.
Which is the whole point of the First Amendment.
But the push that they're talking is, and maybe this comes out in light after Zuckerberg came out and he's vocally said he's real sorry about what he did during COVID, and he feels like he was
pressured
there. And now he's saying he's a libertarian. And so it seems like they're going to try to start laying the pressure on the internet companies again. And they actually want to come after Elon Musk to either strip his voice over X or to try to legally pressure him in. And they probably saw what happened in Brazil with X, and they're probably thinking, I wonder if we could play it like that. We just got to find the correct judge, which sadly enough, is probably a doable affair
Right.
also.
People, do you understand the First Amendment was not created for speech you like? I know this sounds like, for those of you that get where I'm going with that, it sounds like common sense, but to a lot of college kids, they don't get it. Your First Amendment is to protect speech you hate. It is designed to make it so that you can say whatever you want, whether the government likes it or not, whether your neighbor likes it or not. Not freedom of consequence for speech, but freedom of speech means it protects you from saying things people don't like. Well, otherwise, why would you need it?
Well,
If we're in a world where it's to protect speech that is great, that we all love, well, that's just, it doesn't make sense. But we're in a place right now where you can go to a college campus and you're seeing this all the time with different interviews. And I know it's edited. A lot of them are edited to get the kids that really don't know and to kind of make fun. But I don't look at it as making fun. It terrifies me that so many college kids don't understand something as simple as not only your right to free speech and your right to practice your faith or not practice it, your right to the press to get your information doesn't mean it has to be fed information from the government. It was actually meant for the press to be the watcher of the government. And your right to assemble, peacefully protest, all these things, that First Amendment you couldn't have without the Second. That there's so many college kids that don't understand what these amendments mean and the importance of them, that we are the people control the government. That was the whole purpose. And yet the people have given up our power and our control, and we've let the government decide for us. I mean, think of it.
It's that has always been there. I mean, you've heard the law, you can't shout fire, or you can't shout fire in a crowded theater, right?
You've heard of it, but it's been debunked.
It wasn't debunked. It was knocked down by the Supreme Court after the Supreme Court upheld it. But that came out because what was the name of? There was a Jewish couple who were giving out pamphlets in New York City against World War I, and they got brought to charges over it.
Did they shout fire in a crowded theater?
No, but that was the excuse the guy gave. But anyway, so neither here nor there. But
can I just say, Nancy Pelosi said in one of her interviews, you can't scream wolf in a crowded theater. She said wolf.
Not surprised.
Because that happens. I mean, how often? How many times?
Have
you said wolf in a crowded theater?
She's brilliant. Anyways, she was alive when that law was codified by the Supreme Court anyway. So, but remember the laws you write now, whenever you're sitting thinking, I want to write a law to strengthen my hold on power or to give me more power, eventually that law can and will be used against you. Right now, the stuff that's going after conservatives was a design that was drawn up to go after the anti-Vietnam War guys. It is exactly the same playbook. That's when it was designed, and they're using the exact same thing. So if you write a law now, it will be used against you. But anyways,
if you think like that, which our leaders and our legislatures,
it's because they all want easy pass.
To think that way, if they start realizing, hey, you're going to end the filibuster, well, that's going to be stupid because one day you're not going to be in charge, and it'll be used against you.
They all want an easy path. So I want to talk about things that's going on in this Hurricane Helene. Is that what it's called, or Helen, or
Helene?
Helene. I was confused. I kept hearing Helene, but I'm like, are they just
Are you good with
mispronouncing
this so we can advertise?
What is it?
This is a guest that we would have
Oh,
running for
okay.
school
So
board.
yeah, we'll advertise it at the end. But so I don't know if this is conspiracy or not, but there's a whole bunch of reports that FEMA is blocking people from giving aid. They're confiscating
Food.
confiscating people who have aid down there, or Samaritans.
Okay, so the Glenbeck has Mercury One. Many of you know that's a nonprofit organization where 100% of your donations go directly to the effort. They don't pay admin fees, nothing like that. Glenbeck talked about it on a different podcast I heard this morning, that he had a number of volunteers who have choppers, helos, he said, and they were going in to drop water, medical supplies, food, and maybe phones and things like that for people to contact the outside world. And they'd been given food to these local churches that were at a checkpoint, and that food was being distributed to the people in this area. And FEMA came in and demanded that they take the food. And they took it from these local churches and said they knew best how to distribute it. And Glenn Beck's like, what? Who knows better than the local churches, with all these locals who are coming there to get the food every day? The churches are distributing it. And that word equity came in again. Now, our candidate and Democrat nominee used that word, that FEMA would be working to make sure that aid and everything went via equity. She used that word.
So are they?
What does that mean? She didn't define that.
So is FEMA concerned that food is only being delivered to one ethnic group, or is
That
FEMA
is the
concerned
assumption
that all food delivered needs to be delivered in a progressive manner?
The concern was that it was they were worried it was going to be distributed only to a certain minority or majority. And yet the areas we're talking about have a lot of middle class and maybe lower class folks in the mountains, in the Appalachian Mountains, right? I think that's the consensus. It's not like there's millionaire houses that have slipped down the mountain. There's a lot of folks like you and I, and they're lost everything. But this is the same group that FEMA that was saying, not only that, you can't bring your choppers over and you can't fly drones over. Well, excuse me?
Yeah, what's
there
this?
There are people still alive up there. And groups like Mercury One were sending donkeys up.
Yeah, I watched
loaded,
that video.
Packed up with hikers to go.
It looked like an old school, like the
1800s.
Yeah, like an old school pack train.
Now,
Martin says also FEMA didn't show up till a week after the fact.
And for them to ban drones, for example, I get it. They had to close the airspace because, well, you have to fly the president in there so he can do his whatever.
Did the president go in there?
He did go. And then when the press asked him about how does he feel after seeing the storm, you know what he said? What storm? I can't make this up.
I want ice cream.
What storm? They don't have to. I mean, they were closing up the airspace. They were threatening pilots with their licenses if they flew up there. You guys, it had been days, and there's they didn't know if they had fresh water. FEMA put out, this is my favorite. If you have suffered from any damages, or you need health or healthcare, or you're living in a hotel or staying with friends and your house is damaged, and they go through this whole spiel, go to our website and you can apply here or call us. Well, that's funny. These people don't have electricity. They also don't have internet. Chances are anything electric dead. So they can't look you up online. Elon Musk put up the Skylink, what is it? Starlink for free to get those people, if they did have working electronics, they'd have internet. But 4 days in, if there is not a water source up there, folks, and they don't have water, you can't survive without water for 4 days. How many people are unaccounted for? I think it's 1,000, and already 190 something dead. How many are up there right now dying of dehydration? And FEMA is down there taking food and distributing food their way. And the National Guard, folks. This is Katrina all over again, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
The National Guard is trained to save citizens in this country. They have access to choppers. They have access to vehicles that could potentially four-wheel drive up there. I mean, I'm not a dreamer here, right? They have these things. They also have training and the capacity to climb the mountain and with packs on and go save lives, American citizens. FEMA is offering them $750 a person. And Mayorkas is saying that FEMA is out of money. Wow. Out of money? How are you paying $9,000 plus benefits to undocumented folks? And you're offering $750. And then when I saw this, when I told you about the announcement of either call us or go online to fill out an application, we're here to help you. On X, somebody goes, don't bother, right underneath the post. Don't bother. I was denied within the hour. I didn't meet their criteria. And I lost my house in this. Other people start mentioning that exact same thing. I was automatically denied. I got the result in an hour. And I was lucky enough to have internet access, thanks to Elon Musk. What is happening? And then many of you are seeing the same thing happened in Maui, guys. Mm-hmm. And what have we heard about the lost children, the unaccounted for children in Maui?
I don't know.
Nothing.
Oh.
What happened to them?
Well.
And now is the EPA going to come in and deem this area and all these houses? And just so happened that what is the Carolinas famous for? What is in the ground there? Lithium. Lithium. You guys, this is all happening in front of your face. And we're not hearing about this. This should be on every newscast all day, every day.
Well,
these are American citizens.
Our news is a mouthpiece for the government. You don't want them to go against their...
Martin says, how about the VP giving the victim $750 per family? They can send billions to Ukraine, but give United States citizens not even a drop in the bucket. Not only Ukraine and Israel. Those were... Well, I don't know. Did Israel get $1 billion? They get 12 billion, I think. Let's talk about the millions, if not billions, going to Turkey, to Yemen, to Palestine.
Hold on. What about the
all the other countries that hate us?
Wasn't it 380,000 went to the Taliban on accident or something like that?
The billions that were dropped off in Iran.
It's just money, guys. It's only money.
The Democrat Party does not care about we the people. That's absolutely true. And
no, they don't.
And the higher up in government we get, I think the more we realize our government doesn't actually run this country. There is a deeper, bigger force out there. I mean, for Bill Gates to get on a TED Talk and say, thanks to vaccines and management, we should cut the population by what do you say, 30% or something?
Something like that.
What the heck?
Oh.
How does that make sense? Put that in any context and make that make sense. We are the shining beacon on the hill. We are the Roman Empire.
I wonder if Fazio eggs will sell me feathers.
I don't know what that is.
The eggplant in Erda.
Oh,
I wonder if they'd sell me feathers.
well, can you make tar?
Oh, buy tar. It's at Home Depot.
Well, that's if the shipyards are all good.
Yeah, that's true. Supposedly that strike was already negotiated out of.
What I understood is they're bound by 90 days where they can't officially shut down.
So they're just going to work slower for 90 days?
That's what they promised.
Okay.
Now, that's a whole nother deal. United States cannot be held hostage by strike workers. I'm so sorry. That I believe that there is a place for unions in certain jobs and all of that. But I also believe that when you have the ability to completely hold the country hostage with your strike and you're asking for 75% raise increase, and the guy doing it is a millionaire who has to sell his yacht and his Bugatti or his Bentley or whatever, and he's standing up there telling you, the Americans that are barely getting by, we've earned this, we worked through COVID. Well, so did half the other country. They all worked through COVID that were considered essential. And God bless the fact that they could and did. Because otherwise, we'd be a communist nation by now. We had to have people working. Neil
says, what about the military aid we gave to the Taliban on our withdrawal? Yeah.
Yep.
And I think here shortly, we're going to find out the truly scary part about what we left in Afghanistan. Was we left, I think it was 20,000 sets of night optical devices, AMPVS 14s and 7s.
80 billion or million in air power.
All of that means nothing.
It does. I mean,
no,
they created a military.
Let me tell you why.
Hi, Mr. Mayor, by the way.
Multiple of our units have mottos that say we own the night.
Yeah.
Multiple of our Navy SEALs, 160th SOAR, Green Berets, Army Rangers, MAC-VSOG, all that. Or not MAC-VSOG, that's Vietnam. MARSCOM.
It puts us above the other armies.
Because we could carry operations out at night. And we just possibly gave a chance for an enemy to stop that. And if push comes to shove, that'll get real ugly.
During Katrina, United States military, which was the National Guard, took firearms from citizens.
Yes, they did.
In the name of an emergency situation.
A Utah guardsman got drummed out of the National Guard because he refused to. I've tried getting him on this show many times. He won't come on.
This is very dangerous when you give the government this power. What they told you about this FEMA situation, about these American citizens up there, they're all in need. There are mayors, there are Congress people that are having to fight our own government to get their people saved. When the National Guard is being used against its own people, we got a severe, big problem. I don't care if it's an emergency. You don't disarm people, especially during an emergency. Have you seen the crime and the raiding and the looting that's happening in the lower areas? They're not reporting on it very often. So you're seeing it. Police officers are spilling it, saying, this is happening under FEMA's watch. Under Katrina, they were removing firearms from people that were just there to protect their homes. Why would you do that? Those are people you don't have to worry about. They're there to protect their homes. They're not asking for anything. They just wanted to protect their homes from people who had ill intent against them. Why would you disarm them and make them victims, potential victims, or at least vulnerable? And why would you use the U.S. military to do that? That is dangerous. And that set a precedent. Did it not? Yeah. Did that guy ever get his job back?
No,
Well, did he ever want it back?
I don't know. I don't know. I would like to hear the full story on that. It kind of all went quiet after that. And I've asked him to come on the show.
Yeah, who's to say, this is Martin, who's to say the rockets Iran launched into Israel weren't what was left behind from the withdrawal? I think the chances of them being left behind are very, very
how
high.
crazy would that be?
They're very, very high. I mean, let's be honest. We left so much military equipment behind in jets and in everything, guns, whatever they left behind, that made the Taliban almost up to the level of Canada in the military. Didn't they say it was like it gave them an advantage that made their military almost as equivalent
Don't
of
degrade the
like
Taliban
Canada.
like that.
That should terrify everyone. And Israel has promised if Iran launches missiles into Israel, they will retaliate by taking out either their nuclear compound. And can we just say that Tampon Tim can't even say the word nuclear? He, during the debate, kept saying nuclear. What? You want to be vice president, a heartbeat away from leading the free world, and you can't say nuclear?
What if the Democrats want a World War III situation as their
It would give them
gamble to stay
ultimate
in
power.
power?
They could use the military to create a police state in the name of our safety.
Like,
that should terrify everyone. That should terrify everyone that's a veteran or that is currently serving, that you have to patrol your own streets, that you have to take guns from citizens that you've sworn to protect, the Constitution you've sworn to uphold. When the military has to be divided like that, that's one reason they went soft and took in a lot of the people they did in the military. They wanted a certain type out. And that were people that would never.
Obama drummed out the officer corps that was constitutionally conservative. I should say he drummed out the mid-grade officer corps, the majors, lieutenant colonels, the field grade
Obama
stuff.
did that. And then Biden with the vaccines kind of swept up the rest.
Yeah, although they're trying to get him back right now.
Well, that's the thing. As a military person, when you stand on principle and you're kicked out of the one thing that you've sworn to protect and to give potentially your life for, and then you're excused, not politely, mind you, because you won't take the vaccine. Now they're letting him come back. Who would want to?
Well,
who would want to serve under this administration?
So the Navy invited back thousands of people. And 2 took them up on their offer. The only branch of the military that met its recruitment goals this last year were the Marines. They're also the only branch of the military that met their audit. They're the first branch in like 15 years that met their audit.
It was actually really huge.
It was.
The Pentagon can't meet theirs.
It was Pentagon is so far. Do you remember before? It was the
day before 9/11.
Yeah, when he came out and said we've lost 13. Now back then, I'm going to say a number that seems small to you guys. He came out. It was what the heck was his name? Rumsfeld.
Rumsfeld, yeah.
Came out and said we've lost $13 million. I believe he said.
No. It was more than that. It was either trillion or billion.
Well, it wasn't trillion then.
It was a lot of money.
It sounds small nowadays compared to what our government plays with.
And I think it was maybe 2 days or the day before 9/11.
Yeah, it's wild. You know what?
They lost it.
We have been.
And then they had to audit it.
We can't account for.
And where did the plane hit the Pentagon?
Auditor's office.
It hit the audit office. And then we never heard about that money again.
Yeah.
And now recently they came out and it was unaccounted for 2 trillion or something. Now it is a big number. What? WTF, people? That's what I want to know. What is happening?
I don't know. It's a comedy. It's become a comedy.
I would laugh if it wasn't so terrifying. If Israel decides to keep their promise and their word, when Iran launched those missiles into Israel, the only person that died was a person got killed in Palestine, from what I understand. And that was because a rocket literally a shell dropped on his head.
A piece of a rocket
If
fell on
it's
him.
true, I don't know. Is
What
that
was
real?
with that? They call it a mass shooting, but what was with that shooting right before it kicked off? The media has been tying the two together.
I don't know.
But no one's even come out and said whether it was like a Palestinian that assaulted Israelis, or
Well, if they're not, then it probably was.
or what if it was
not.
a jilted lover, or I don't know.
But if Israel keeps their word, they said they're going to bomb the nuclear sites of Iran, or they're going to bomb their oil.
I know I wouldn't want to go to war in Iran.
I wouldn't. I don't think America should be involved in this anyway.
Iran's a different animal than what we fought before. But I did hear some speculation that NTC, for all you military guys, NTC, the National Training Center, is possibly moving from Fort Ord to Idaho. And a lot of people think about, what's the topography in Idaho? Kind of like Eastern Europe.
What? Idaho? Mm-hmm. It's not like Utah? I mean, all the places I've seen is a lot like Utah.
Fort Ord is a desert. Right. And that's where the NTC, the National Training Center.
Right. So how is Idaho? They're not desert.
No, the Idaho, where they're moving in Idaho is right outside of Boise. And it's flat, low hills.
I've never been.
Grassy lands. Just like, I don't know, Ukraine.
Okay, yeah.
So that makes me wonder, what are they planning? What's in their head? Now, do I want our forces to be ready if we need to defend ourselves against, Russia or wherever?
Anyone, sure. Absolutely.
But that sounds to me like they're gearing our forces up to be ready to
boots on the ground somewhere else.
Invade Russia.
That is insane. And that's terrifying that we are so close to World War III, because Martin says when Trump gets in, we won't hear of possible wars. From your text to God's ears,
we won't hear about them from
that they get settled, that the diplomacy can work and sides can be settled, and the Taliban and Hamas is running scared again.
Here's the question. Could the media drive us to further war?
Absolutely. The media has so much more power than we give it credit for.
Say Trump gets in and the media works to drive us to further war. What does that look like?
I just wonder if that did happen, if it would also drive America to civil war. Because there's enough Americans that know better than to go into a nuclear war or World War III. There's enough of us to go, that's the end. World War IV is started with sticks and rocks because weapons are done. People are done. We cannot afford a world war, folks. And I'm not saying financially, I'm saying blood and humanity and the environment would be destroyed, and the ability to live would be over. I mean, I'm just, the fact that it's even being brought up and it's actually something that we have to consider. This was stuff made of when we were kids. Remember during the Cold War, us young 80s kids, we had nightmares of getting a nuke dropped on us and hiding under our desks like that would do anything. But that was a real Red Dawn. That was a real scare we had that our kids don't have, right? It's not in our kids' nightmares, but it was in Gen X's nightmares. And here it is. And I don't think you can throw World War III around loosely because, I mean, we were educated back then on what that looks like. Did we just forget? And our weapons have gotten far more powerful since the original was dropped and far more precise. I think that America needs to back its allies, yes, but we let them do what they're going to do. We support them from home. They pay their own way. We can't pay for their wars. We sure as hell shouldn't be starting them, and we sure shouldn't be participating. You know, why are we picking sides between Ukraine and Russia when it doesn't involve us? Let's stay out of it. Let them handle it. We're making it worse. And we have robbed the American citizen of the basic necessities of life during an emergency situation like what happened in Maui, like what's happening in the Carolinas and geez, Virginia. This hurricane shifted and made a storm of which to the likes that we haven't seen since Katrina. And it wasn't on a coastal, wasn't in the coast.
Yeah, it went inland quite a bit. I mean, some of Tennessee is
They're saying it
out.
wasn't the hurricane. It's called a superstorm, basically.
Well, that's because once it's not on the ocean, it's
and levees broke.
Yeah. Once it's not on the ocean, it's.
I pray that, first of all, I pray that Trump wins and nobody hurts him. I see that he's obviously, I mean, how many attempts on his life till right now? How many do we have to look forward to? Why is this not the topic of every conversation where they're going, wait a minute. Yeah, we can disagree, but no one should be killing anyone or attempting to. The rhetoric has to stop. Why are these things happening? And who's controlling our government right now? Our president asked what storm? And our vice president is too busy campaigning, and Trump is being updated on these things happening. I mean, he's got a seat at the table, whether it's people on the inside giving him a seat or whatever, but Trump should be the president of the United States.
We need to get Mayor Critchlow in again soon. I've heard there's some changes going on down there, or possible changes going on down in Grantsville city government. So when he's ready and able to talk about that, we need to have him come in.
Oh, yeah. Please.
Maybe it's just rumors, whatever, but when you're ready, Mayor Critchlow, reach out. You got my number.
Well, and I think locally we're doing pretty good. I think that did I talk to you about my meeting with I had a little get together with Amy Winder Newton?
You did not.
Okay, so I'm going to use this moment to go back to a little more local. I told you I served
with
Amy
Winder Newton. She's the one that there's a lawsuit involving her and Gowd, and
we've had Sylvia and Gowd on.
Yeah.
And I mentioned in both those interviews with them that I know Amy and I know her to be a person of character, and she's a wonderful mother, and she's always been very diplomatic in the SEC. She's a member of the SEC. I wouldn't call her an uber conservative or by any means. I mean, she serves on the county council of Salt Lake, but she is a Republican, and she's probably more moderate than I am, but most are. I'm more
especially
conservative.
in Salt Lake.
Yeah, and that's how you win in Salt Lake. I also told them that I would love to get Amy on the show to hear from her. We said that multiple times.
Sure.
Because you guys, we know there's two sides. There's three sides to an argument. There's your side, her side, there's the truth. And then we just want to educate people. And Amy approached me and said, hey, I watched your show and the interviews, and I appreciate that you didn't go all in against me. And to be fair, I never ever want to go all in against anyone, because especially when we didn't hear her from her.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out and said, please come on the show. We want you on. She is currently engaged in this suit. So it wouldn't be wise for her to come on any public. I mean, this is me talking. It wouldn't be wise for anyone. If you're involved in a suit, don't go live and talk about it with people. Even if your intentions are to clear your name or whatever, until the suit is finished, just don't do that. And, you know, she said, I promise I will be a guest on your show as soon as it is done, to kind of go into it. And I would love that, because I appreciate Gowd. I appreciate Sylvia. I love their vigor and the insight, but I want it to make sense. Right. And that's the one thing, we couldn't make it make sense. You know, why just Amy? And why are you, we do want to believe victims. We do want to. I do. When someone says they've been victimized, I want to believe them. And that's something that Gowd said he was a victim, and Sylvia wanted to learn more and figure out what was really going on. I can appreciate all of that. But we're talking about real people's lives. And we're talking about a real situation that has court involved. So just on another note, when she is available to talk, she has already promised to be on the show. And I'm looking forward to that. With the state, as far as the SEC goes, we do want our legislators to repeal SB 54. This is constantly coming up, but right now is not the time. The SEC is pushing our chair to push our legislators, to push our governor. Well, at the same time, our chair immediately filed to see signatures the second that the signature path was there. They always do. Our party chairs always challenge SB 54. They always encourage our electeds to do the same and to repeal it. Senator Lee has called on our electeds to repeal it. The thing is, it's not popular with a lot of the citizens to repeal it, who feel like their voice isn't being heard by their delegates. So we're kind of in a weird situation. I want people to understand that the party, of course, wants to have full power over who we choose to put on our ballot. We don't want the state telling us how to run our elections.
Why is there this giant separation between the delegates and the populace?
Well, that's the question, right? Engagement. A lot of people don't engage in their local caucus, whether we've got our messaging wrong or we don't. Caucus doesn't sound fun, or it's not everyone can make it. And
Tell me more about this caucus not sounding fun.
Is engaging with all the party chairs, and we're all trying to come up with ways to get more engagement from the populace, because we want everyone to attend caucus. Democrats caucus. We want them to have we want their caucus to be a success, and maybe we work together to make it a better experience. The truth is that until we do, there's a group out there that doesn't feel heard. And that's why there is a dual path to get on the ballot. At the end of the day, we have to go with the majority of our voters and their choice. So that's a thing that came out of the SEC that I don't think we talked about last week, but I just want people to know that, yes, we want caucus to be the way we choose, convention, caucus, and we want our candidates who win at convention to get our attention, to get the nominee title when we go to the primary. But after the primary, once the people have spoken, those are our nominees. And until we have fixed caucus and made it so that everyone's voice is heard, and we've figured out a way to make it fun and engaging, and we've tried everything, but we can always try more. I do believe delegates are better informed. And I do believe that candidates who only have to campaign to 4,000 people, a candidate has a far better chance, especially a candidate that doesn't have a ton of money, the everyday candidate, has a better chance of getting on the ballot by campaigning to 4,000 instead of competing, trying to campaign to 3 million. So the pros and cons are there. But as far as both parties go, we should be able to choose our candidates whichever way we see fit. And I don't mean both, I mean all parties. Constitution, Green, independents. We should be able to choose our candidates the way we see fit. The infighting within the Republican Party, it's about timing for me right now. It is not a good time to be infighting. We need our focus to be getting Trump elected, getting the Senate back, keeping the House. That has to be our focus, especially people in leadership positions like our party's chair, our state chair, my position, party leadership, precinct chairs, delegates. Our goal should be to preserve our seats, especially on the national level. The world needs us to change our direction, because where do we go from here? If the United States falls, where do we go? We have to protect locally, our local communities. We've got to bound together, locally, and make sure our electeds locally are on the same page when it comes to how do we protect our community first, then how do we protect our state, how do we protect our nation? And I'm saying your neighbors, Republican, independent, constitutionalist, Republican, all of us, we have to protect each other first. And it starts right there at your house and the house next to you or the apartment next to you, and branch out like that. That is how we protect ourselves.
I agree.
And hi, Fred. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that we get an opportunity to also kind of talk about the news regarding P. Diddy. You laugh, but this is like Epstein.
Oh, hey.
Instead of involving serious politicians, it's involving Hollywood and the music industry. And it is disgusting, the stuff coming out against him. I'll be surprised if he survives in prison before he testified. But my husband mentioned it last night when I was so lucky to have my sister / cousin in town to visit with us and her husband. They came in for a quick visit, and I just love her, but they're from Montana.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about this, and at first you kind of laugh, but then you stop laughing when you know the stuff that's coming out and what happened to Justin Bieber.
Ooh, that poor kid.
I'm surprised. Like, he has turned his life to God, and he started there. He was singing spiritual music, sent to sign on to Usher's label. Usher had backed off already.
Well,
but to go stay with P. Diddy.
The theory is that Usher used him to get away from P. Diddy.
Well, he needed out. He wanted out so badly.
You think?
But
I mean,
I said to my husband, "Oh, well, this is just going to be like Epstein. They had the list and they didn't release it." My husband and my cousin both go, "Oh, no. This is a different prosecutor. They're playing a different game. This prosecutor already has the list. They have the video evidence. He's prosecuting anybody who witnessed this, who cheered for it, who just witnessed it. They have video of people walking in on the abuse of people and getting tossed $10,000 and saying, forget what you saw and leave."
I hope so.
He's prosecuting those people who did nothing, who said nothing.
I really hope that that something comes out of this.
Oh, apparently, and this could be all hearsay, but apparently Obama's name came up, including Big Mike's name, Jay-Z, Beyonce.
Oh,
P. Diddy potentially having something to do with Tupac and Biggie.
P. Diddy, is he a East Coast or he did a song about Biggie, right?
Oh yeah, he made a ton
So
of
he
money.
was an East
He
Coast guy.
inherited Biggie's. It was his label that inherited all Biggie's work. He made the most money on Biggie's death.
Why do they keep
Eminem has been low key throwing Diddy under the bus for years in his songs. 50 Cent?
Yeah, 50 cents.
50 Cent.
Not been low key.
It's not been low key.
He's been.
And this is the thing. It's like it's been a known thing in Hollywood, in the music industry. And they get you at these parties. They have video of you at these parties. One lady said that she took a drink and her tongue and lips immediately went numb. She was at this party with her agent. And she could see from it, she was like, that's weird. And she looked at her agent who had only had one drink and she's stumbling and doesn't know where she is. This girl put her drink down and left because it was the norm there. Children in the industry. I feel bad for Justin Bieber because
I do too.
the stuff that they have on him.
The poor kid.
He's 15. When this happened to him.
He's had nothing but issues.
Oh yeah.
All those tattoos he got, that's all him just trying to cope with whatever happened.
And he was raised by a mom who he was a spiritual kid.
Yeah, but his mom was there.
His mom let him go with Usher or go with Diddy for those 2 weeks. And they filmed it.
His mom was there during interviews when they were asking him sexual questions.
And Usher told his mother, you manage him. You stay with him. Don't just send him off. But there was those 2 weeks.
His mom had that meal ticket. She wanted that money.
I don't know. I never want to assume a parent's intent because I know that when he kind of separated from his mom, when he was old enough, she was begging him, come back to God, and he's like, his mom, I'm not worthy of God. And I'm thinking
his mom was there when all those things happened to him.
Yeah, but she wasn't at those parties.
Yeah, but she was there when he was asked explicit questions on interviews. You can watch the interviews.
I saw some of the interviews.
His mom's sitting right next to him, giggling along like a barking seal.
I remember a couple interviews, and I remember him a long time ago when he was like 16, and the interviewee was a girl, and she was all hitting on him and asking him about, the birds and the bees question, and he's like, do you feel like this is appropriate? You asking me this? He said,
I feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with this. And there was a time where he had a voice and then he just stopped, remember? And he just started putting out the hits, but he was going downhill fast. Britney Spears.
Yeah, there's another one.
Miley Cyrus.
Yep.
Look at all these people that have literally gone downhill and then they've rebuilt themselves again. And then look at the people who have gotten so big as star power. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Taylor Swift. I always said, either they made a deal with the devil, literally, or there's powers that be, like Harvey Weinstein. How many women did he make famous?
Yeah.
You guys, it's sexual deviance that is ruining our country. It's the devil. This is not about right and left. It's about good and evil. And you don't even have to believe in the devil. You could just believe in moral corruption. Right?
Oh, I believe in that.
But I believe it's the devil at work, and it has been. And I hope that Diddy survives to be punished appropriately. And also that the victims, because there is a long list of victims, and I hope these victims get justice. And if that means that Jay-Z or Beyonce are taken down and go to prison over what they watched or were part of, so be it.
So tell me about this new lawyer, this different lawyer.
Oh, the prosecutor.
Yeah.
Well, it's a different city.
Okay.
I believe it's going out of LA
Okay.
instead of New York.
Yeah, LA's known for its honest handling of.
No, this attorney though, or this prosecutor, I'm sure people have witnessed his talk, his press conference, where
Okay.
he said, "We have the list, and we're not only going after every name on the list. We have the videos. We've seized all the videos. We're going after the people who witnessed it and did nothing. We're going after the people who participated. We're going after the people who just watched. We're going after the people who cheered, who did
Good.
nothing."
Good.
There's names like Jamie Foxx.
Oh.
And there's even people that have said and now again, you guys, I only know what the Twitterverse and the TikTok universe and YouTube has said, but there's word that there's a few people who said they were going to come out against it that were either shot up. I don't know. How many times was 50 Cent shot?
Well, he was shot before he became a.
Yeah, but he also was shot at. Tupac was shot at, and he survived the first time.
Yeah,
Tupac
I don't
was
know.
trying to leave the label.
But I don't think Tupac. Was this around during Tupac? Well,
Tupac
okay.
was around,
The
and
sex-
Biggie and him had beef, and there was a common denominator, which was Tupac was with Faith, who was Biggie's person, or was, I mean, they were all in that label, right?
Okay.
Tupac was leaving that label to go to Death Row Records, West Coast with Drake and
Okay.
Snoop. These guys were all East Coast. Jay-Z was
Okay.
East Coast. Who profited the most off of Biggie's death? Puffy. Nobody knew who P. Diddy was. Not really, until he started doing a couple songs, and it was, I mean, he wasn't he was the producer. He owned the label.
Okay.
But that song regarding Puffy, Every Step You Take or whatever.
Oh, the one where he ripped off the 80s music?
Yeah. He ripped off the Police. Every step
Yeah.
I take.
Yeah, that's who it was.
But
Talk about it.
he made a lot of money, and he got all the rights to Biggie's songs, all the lyrics and everything. And that beef between Pac and him, I mean, I know this is probably boring for a lot of you who want to know political head trauma, but I think this is as big as the Epstein thing. I think that this will expose a lot of people, and they even say political people.
Oh, yeah. Well, you mentioned
Obama
and
again. If
Mrs. Obama.
But who was the big DA in who was the attorney general in California?
Yes.
And she didn't know?
I wonder if she went to any of the parties.
That's what I'm wondering too. Again, there is so much corruption. Our country right now, the world right now, what we're seeing, I truly believe we are seeing good and evil, and we better pick a side, folks, of what side you're on. You either stand up for life and you stand up for victims and those that can't stand up for themselves. You stand up for your Constitution or your freedoms. You stand up for your neighbor who believes totally opposite of you in any party. You stand up for their rights. You take a stand against evil, and you especially stand up for kids. There are 350,000 plus kids missing, lost by our government, that were smuggled across the border in some way or sent off into cities some way, and they're just lost now.
Mm-hmm. So that's the horrible part.
That's insane. Are you literally loading a gun right next to me?
No, I'm working on a holster.
I should call it a pew pew because of YouTube.
I'm adjusting a holster.
All right.
There is no ammunition in this room. Yeah, there's no ammunition.
So, comments, guys. We want to hear from you. What do you want to talk about? We got a couple minutes. We talked about FEMA.
Yep.
I feel like that's a dangerous situation waiting to happen.
Yep.
Twilla County, ballots go out on the 15th of this month. If you want a Donald Trump Vance sign, just PM me. They're $6 and we will get you a pickup location. You can Venmo, but reach out to me, private message. We'll get you your Trump Vance sign. It's a good looking sign too. It's got both of them. Of course, you're always welcome to look on Amazon. They're a little bit more on Amazon. So if we get you local, if you would like to support
if they
a candidate,
get local, does it help out the party?
No, we're not making money off it.
Okay.
Really what we want is if you want to support Trump Vance and you want to share this sign, we want to make sure you have one and access to one. So, private message us on here, or you can go to either one of our individual accounts. Jared will let me know. You can go to the Twilla County Republican Party page and you can reach out there. If you would like to support Governor Cox, Senator candidate Curtis, the Attorney General candidate, which is Derek Brown, Nicolene Peck, who is running for House here in Utah in Twilla, her district and part of Erda and Stansbury, right? District 28. Bridger Bollinger is District 29. Just reach out. We got signs. And Celeste Malloy for Congress, reach out to me. Yeah.
And you can reach out to Nicolene, Bridger, Celeste. You can get in contact with them. Bridger and Nicolene are very contactable people, very open to conversations if you have questions.
And Matt Hymas for school board.
Yeah,
Matt's someone you can contact, and I highly recommend that you do if you have questions, because he's got a lot of information.
He'll let you down. He doesn't wear enough tweed.
He's not aggressive. He's not not boisterous. He's very humble.
He's very easygoing.
And he's very thoughtful.
He's 8 foot tall and
answer
very
your
calm.
questions. And we'll have him on the show again.
Yep.
I'd love to talk more to him about what's happened at the district and what the school board's doing.
Yeah, we can't get any of our district people on.
Yeah. Well, how hard have we tried? I don't know any of them personally. They're not a partisan race. So,
well, it's not about the partisanship. I just want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Where's all this?
I agree.
I
still want to get Heather Lester or the former GM of the Stansbury Agency, Chad Saunders. We've got a group of people who have just had their ear to the ground, paying attention to what's happening in Stansbury and getting their tax hike that hasn't stopped. The people of Stansbury are not getting, I don't believe, represented well. And I don't want that to go under the radar, because I'm working on elections with our team on the county level and at the state level. As local as possible. I would love to hear from the mayor, Critchlow. It's always an open invitation to any of our mayors, any of our county council. And you can always go to the Democrat Party has their own Facebook page where you can PM them and ask them questions.
We're going to try to get them
candidates.
On. Yeah.
I've done an open invite to them personally, welcoming them to have their candidates on. And thankfully, Carrie, I believe it is you, who talked to Deborah Gatrell, who's running for school board. Also, not in our district. That would be Matt. I said that, Matt Hymas.
Mm-hmm.
So Deborah she's running for school board. And I believe it's Carrie Griffith.
Sure.
I don't know, but Carrie, thank you for letting her know.
Oh,
about
you're
us.
talking about Carrie from here, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Carrie Bartholomew.
but she said Carrie Griffith. But
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we shouldn't announce that.
it might be a different Carrie. But
Oh,
thank you,
okay.
Carrie Griffith, for letting Deborah know about us. And we are trying to get Deborah on. Either she's talked about coming in live next week.
Perfect.
So either being here with us in studio, and so we'd hope you tune in because she's over on, I believe, West Valley, and she lives in West Valley. So as far as West Valley, so she's close to us.
She's
I believe
in Magna.
a lot of the same issues are going to apply. I would love to have her on. We're excited that she wants to come on. I know very little about her. And so I'm going to spend this week getting to know what I can about her. And she's been great to talk to so far. And we're going to have her on.
Yeah.
So I hope you'll tune in next week. Mark the calendar because we're going to have a special show
On 21st.
on Monday, the 21st. And
That's in like 3 weeks.
Is it really?
Yeah, today's the 4th.
Okay, so the 21st, we're going to have a special show there with our candidate, Celeste Malloy.
Yeah, Celeste will be in town. She said she'd come on. It'd be great to chat with her again, see what's
I think the session's over.
what's
at that
going
point,
on.
right?
What's what? Yeah, she
The
can let
national.
us.
So she's going to fill us in.
She
on
can let
all
us know
the-
how bad we're gonna get mauled by our federal government in the next coming year.
And agree with these folks or not, folks. This is just whether you agree with them or not. Your participation is so important. Your comments, your questions.
Why do I feel like
help
you're
us
pointing these at me? No, I agree with them or not. It's happening anyway. May as well
Let's find out.
chat to them and find out
Let's ask
how
them.
bad you're going to get mauled. And, I like Celeste. We may not agree on some decisions she made, and she has her reasons for making those. And if just because I don't agree with them doesn't mean that the populace doesn't agree with them. So,
Well, and how many politicians are willing to come and explain themselves?
that's true.
I have so much respect for her because she knows she's coming into the line of fire on some of these issues. She'll come anyway.
We'll see what she talks about, whether there's a line of fire.
Well, again, we know there's going to be a bill come forward.
Oh, yeah.
Your guy already made a big.
Thomas Massey already.
He called everyone out. His
And
own
was he
party,
wrong?
He was not wrong. He said, "Oh, we do this every year, right down to the minute, so we can all put in our pork and we can all vote for another bill that's going to give more money to bureaucratic departments and no audits."
Every time.
And he was amazing. And that's what I want to see. I want to see people like him, more people like him.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, Mike Lee has been fighting this bill to get this bill passed that is, I've just got to.
Saves Act?
The Saves Act, but constantly. He's asking for help. He's talking about, getting, we need to win. We need to win these seats, big seats that right now that need to be won. Ted Cruz's seat in Texas, Kerry Lake in Arizona, Tim Sheehy in Montana, the veteran in Nevada. You seen him? He's up for Senate, like he's running in the Senate. We need these folks elected. We need the red states to get more senators elected. And I'm okay with 2 senators that are both Republican who may disagree on here and there issues. I like having everyone's ideas represented in the Senate, but they all better be ready to support our president when I say Donald Trump. Because last time they dropped the ball big time. Mike Lee and Ted Cruz were not Trumpers. I mean, Ted Cruz had a reason to not like Trump.
What?
Huge
It's not
reason.
like Trump accused his father of
Killing Kennedy. And what happened? Trump got their favor, not because he went and apologized, but because he put forward good policy that was America first, and it was good for the citizens, and it was good for the Constitution. And those were two people who could look past character and look past the anger and go, this guy loves the country more than he hates me.
It's still too funny.
It is. I mean, like the craziest thing you can accuse someone of. He did it.
Didn't
with a
he
straight
draw him
face.
into being the Zodiac killer?
Oh, it was. Well, did you ever see him in the same place at the same time?
Oh gosh, man, this is the best timeline.
It's just we're living in a clown world, people. And the truth is, like, we need. There's people out there right now mad at Mike Lee that were constant followers of his. There's people right now so angry at Governor Cox that they're willing to risk the seat to go to a Democrat. There's people who hate Donald Trump so badly. They're willing to go another 4 years with potential war and with potential, well, pricing you out. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
Ish.
Government is buying up houses that go for sale. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
Not the government, sorry. BlackRock.
Oh,
LLCs.
they've been doing for a long time.
They've been doing it. The problem is now it's so obvious that, you know, you can't find housing in places like Montana. Pretty soon you won't be able to buy a house in Maui if you can afford it.
Well, yeah.
Because these LLCs come in and buy them up. Why are they doing that?
Or Oprah.
Why are they doing that? Why would BlackRock want to buy all the housing in Montana? Why?
Here's a
what
funny
is the
theory.
benefit
Here's a funny theory.
other than to own everything?
Did you ever see that show, How I Met Your Mother? Did you ever
I
watch
never
that?
watched it.
Okay.
Never even seen a full episode. But I kind of know the premise.
There's a guy on there, Barney. He goes on a tirade about hot women and how they migrate in herds to different jobs. And he talks about how they started out as flight attendants and then they went to whatever else and then to pharmaceutical reps. And then right now, and so they always move into the job that's going to become the big thing. And right now, it seems like there's an abundance of attractive ladies that work as realtors. And so
I think there always has kind of been.
Is the housing market going to become like the next big kind of ripoff? Because we're feeling the effects of the pharmaceutical companies right now, where they, without a doubt, the pharmaceutical companies, they run our government.
And they hired a specific look. Those drug reps were hot men and women.
They run our media. They run, I mean, when they say jump, everyone says how high. The pharmaceutical companies right now could come out with a cancer-causing drug. It could be known it was cancer-causing. Half of the regular populace would argue that everyone has to take it. And all of the media, and it's just because the media, the minute they go to commercial, it's Pfizer, McKesson, whatever. So we're feeling the effects of that, but they've moved on to housing. Is housing going to become the next thing, the next means of control? Just
well, yeah, because your children will never be able to buy.
It's just a little thought of mine, little question.
Everyone will rent, and rent will be decided by BlackRock. And you won't be able to buy anything or own anything, and that's how they'll control you.
Okay, we got to read some YouTube. We have ignored you guys on YouTube for a minute because I was adjusting a holster.
Okay, Life is Driving. It was $1 trillion. I knew. Yes, it was. It was like 2.3 trillion or something. Right there.
Well, is that
was before 9/11.
Wow.
It was
2.3
and back
trillion.
then that was astronomical.
That was huge. Jordan Lott says you guys should have Dr. Shiva on your show. He's running for president and getting thrown off the Utah ballot.
Well, then
Love the American flag. It's
hey,
terrifying.
Send him our way.
Yeah.
We would love to have Dr. Shiva on our show.
He also says the war machine and the military industrial complex is corrupt. We need to stop them now before it gets worse. BlackRock
Jordan, thank you for your comments.
Also is scary. America needs to be America. Bless the USA. I met Carlton Bowen. Yes, Carlton is a good dude. I like Carlton. Matter of fact, I think it was Carlton who gave me my gold bug. Carlton. Yes.
The one that we had on the show, that one?
Yes.
Oh, he was a great guy.
Jordan says, thanks for the awesome show. Woohoo. I survived 18 holes of golf today. Outstanding. Yeah, that's good.
You survived 18 holes? Where were you golfing at, Jordan? I mean, that kind of sounds like I survived. That kind of sounds like a good time. I wouldn't put I survived in front of it. So now I'm wondering, where were you golfing?
Or who were you golfing with?
Were you in the desert in like 120-degree heat? Or were you in the cold?
Have you ever seen Dugway's golf course where you got to compete with antelope?
No.
It's like full of antelope.
Well, I've been on a golf course in Arizona where you had to compete with snakes, and then a golf course in Mexico where you had to compete with gators. Yeah, you don't go near the gators.
He was at Hobble Creek.
Oh, okay.
Hobble Creek. That's on Tiger Woods golf video game, isn't it? That's where I know it from. Anyways, all right. I think that's the show, guys.
I don't know. Please send Jordan, if you do know that candidate, send him our way.
Please.
Just if you have Facebook, you can message us on Facebook. We are at Political Head Trauma.
Or just message us here on YouTube, or have him message us.
Yeah.
I will send me a message here on YouTube. I'll shoot you out my email address, or I can just tell you right now, it's just embarrassing because it's Hotmail.
Yeah, you should type it in so everyone gets to see the Hotmail.
It doesn't matter. I never. But anyways, the best way would be to link us up on here, because my Hotmail gets flooded with advertisements for stuff lately. I don't know.
Is it an account that you kind of just throw away at this point? Because I have a Yahoo account. It is nothing but ads, and I can never go in and get rid of them.
This is the same account I've used. I started this account, I think, like the year after I got out of the Army.
Yeah, like that's
like
me with
98.
my Yahoo account.
Yeah.
Like it's literally my full name, both of my accounts on Yahoo. No one else had it yet. That's how early I started my Yahoo, but one of them is so loaded with ads and crap that it's so hard to sift through it. I would love it. There's probably an app or something you could get that goes in and cleans up your inbox to just say, hey, unsubscribe. You want to unsubscribe from this, instead of me having to go in individually and unsubscribe from all of them.
I don't know. I mean, it's.
And I literally have, this is no joke, in that Yahoo account. Let me see really quick, because it's 157,360 unread messages. That's 157,000.
Yeah. Well, everyone have a good night. Be safe.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back with my pal and my cousin here. And
keep your head above water.
Yeah. We're always hoping for you.
Yeah. Let's send thoughts and or prayers out to the people affected by these storms. And
honestly,
everything else.
They do say, I mean, if you donate to the Red Cross, I think the Red Cross is up there trying to do medical assistance, and the Red Cross helped me and my family after a traumatic fire, and they helped me in an amazing way. I am always grateful to the Red Cross. I don't know if they need blood donations up there or what. If you just want to send money,
I think they almost always need blood donations, though.
It's true, and I know that if you send money, that it gets to them. Mercury One is also somebody that that is a charity that I've donated to, and I know that that charity is very above board. They don't spend your money on anything but what you designate it to be spent on. I think local churches there are probably going to do more with your donation than FEMA.
Shocker.
Because your taxes is already paying for FEMA and they're out of money. So I hope that if you can help in some way, even if it's prayers, guys, especially if it's prayers, they work. And, we just hope that the people there that have lost loved ones or who may be still stuck there with their lost loved ones, I can't even imagine.
Mm-hmm.
We just hope that they don't let this disappear from the news cycle. I mean, Maui disappeared from the news cycle, and we still have so many unanswered questions. And I really don't want that to happen again.
Yeah. Well,
and make sure y'all register to vote. If you're in Utah, go to voteutah.gov. Just double check your registration. Make sure if you have a question that you go to Twilla County Clerk's office. They can help you out. And then we have the ballots boxes that are, Twilla County Clerk's office has all the information you need on to where your ballot box is located. Please use the ballot boxes instead of the mail. Save yourself the cost of a stamp. Drop it in a ballot box. It goes directly to the county clerk. You don't have to worry about, it getting stamped in the mail carrier first and maybe not getting counted because you missed a deadline.
That is still a crazy story.
It's insane. And then we have 3 in-person locations. So on voting day, you can vote at Stansbury Elementary. You can vote in Grantsville. I'm not sure. Check the clerk's website. Don't quote me on any of this, but you can vote at the county clerk's office. I should be nationwide. If you want to vote in person, look around. And if your county clerk doesn't have a place to vote in person, reach out and ask them. If you would like to watch ballots be counted in your local area, around the country, I don't care what state you live in. I hope you're a Republican, but make sure you show up and watch those ballots get counted. We cannot have any more crazy instances where ballot watchers are excused. You have a right to be there and watch, and at least ask your party in your local area to be there on election night watching ballots. We have to make it too big to rig, folks.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Have a good weekend. Have a good night. Be safe.
We'll see you next Friday with our guest, Deborah.
And check out Main Street Media, Utah.org. Yeah, lots of other shows on there. Good
KMMU.
stuff.